Hi guys, welcome to Adam McKola TV. I'm Adam, obviously. This is my Premier League prediction show where I'll be previewing the new Premier League campaign. Yes, we've had a summer of friendly tournaments. We even had the UEFA Super Cup final, but nothing quite like the return of Premier League football. This is the proper stuff, our bread and butter, and it is back. Yes, cannot wait. We've got 3 new teams up this summer: Newcastle, Brighton, Huddersfield. Yes, new teams in the mix. Obviously, Newcastle have been here before, but Brighton and Huddersfield have never been in the Premier League. So we got 2 new teams as well. Now, the Fantasy Premier League information will be available for you guys at the end of this video. So I'll tell you my 11, and of course, I'll give you the code to get involved as well. So keep it locked. But first things first, let's get stuck into these predictions, and we'll be going from number 20 to number 1. In at number 20, I've gone for Huddersfield Town. Now I'm looking forward to the away day in Huddersfield. I'm looking forward to taking them on. And I always love different teams coming up into the Premier League. But I've got a feeling these lot are going to go straight back down. They've brought in the likes of Tom Ince this summer. But I feel they still have a very small squad. They need to improve their squad, and they haven't quite done that. Where are the goals going to come from? Are they going to get enough goals to keep them in the Premier League? And looking at their squad, I just cannot see it. I really can't. So I've got Huddersfield in at number 20. Sorry, Huddersfield fans. Number 19. Now, I've gone for Watford. I've got the feeling this is going to be the year that Watford go down. Now, I had a feeling it would be last season. They lost Igalo. It didn't look good for them. Now, they have brought in Andre Gray, who will probably get them a few goals. He is handy for a few. But I think it's just going to be the year Watford go down. You know, they've been battling against relegation. They chop and change managers quite a lot. Over the history of the Premier League, they have been in and out of the Premier League. And I think this is the season where they will go down. Obviously, they've got bright sparks like Chalobah in the side. And Tom Cleverley. But I just can't see this happening. I can't see Watford staying up. And for that reason, I've got them in at number 19. Occupying the final relegation spot in my predicted 2017-18 Premier League table is Brighton. Now, I'm disappointed about this one because I like Chris Hughton and I liked watching Brighton last season. I did want them to come up. They've been an entertaining side. I think in Knockout and Murray, they've got a few goals there. But I don't think they've done enough in the summer transfer window. Now, I don't think these newly promoted sides need to go out there and spend hundreds and hundreds of millions of pounds. Obviously, that's dangerous for them to do. But I think they need to be buying players, and they haven't brought enough in. You're looking at their squad and you're thinking, has it improved much from the team that got promoted from the Championship? And I don't think it has at all. They comfortably got promoted, but the Championship is different to the Premier League, and the Premier League is going to take a lot more. Now at home they could cause a few upsets, but I think away from home and the lack of goals in their side, I know this has been a regular theme, but I think it's usually the case with those sides in the bottom 5, bottom 6. If you've got goals, you're likely to stay up, and I just don't think Brighton have enough of that. They're well organised. Chris Hughton knows the Premier League, so he could save them, and I would like that to happen, but I don't think he will. In at number 17, I've gone for Sean Dyche's Burnley. Now, I think they'll stay up yet again, and I've been impressed with Sean Dyche, the man who obviously eats Gillette Mac 3s for breakfast. But I think they'll just be safe by the skin of their teeth this time around. They've lost Michael Keane in the heart of their defence, who was absolutely fantastic for them. They've managed to keep a hold of Tom Heaton, which is a great boost for them because he was outstanding, as was Ben Mee as well last season. But again, look at the side. They've brought in Walters. They've brought in Phil Bardsley. Is that enough? Is that enough to make improvements on last season and really cement their spot in the Premier League and, you know, be safe? I don't think it is. And I think these guys will be involved in a relegation battle throughout the season. In at number 16, I've gone for Newcastle United, the newly promoted side with Rafa Benitez at the helm. So they've got a manager that is very tactically astute, knows the Premier League inside and out. At St James's Park, Newcastle will no doubt cause a problem for quite a few teams with their fans behind them. But again, you're looking at their squad and is it good enough for the Premier League? I'm looking at their squad and I'm thinking, is it that much better than their squad that got relegated from the Premier League a couple of years ago? And I really don't think it is. I don't think it is at all. I've been looking at True Geordie's videos recently as well, and he's been saying how they haven't been in the market and they haven't splashed the cash as they should. And I think that's obvious too. Siem de Jong, I used to always sign him on Football Manager back in the day, and they have got him. They got the likes of Alexander Mitrovic, but not many goals in there. I like John Joe Shelby, but did he find his level in the Championship? Is he a good enough Premier League midfielder? I think there's a lot of question marks here. For Newcastle, staying up in the Premier League this season will probably be their aim, and I think they will get that, but I don't think it'll be much more than that. Now, in at 15th, I've gone for West Bromwich Albion. Yeah, West Bromwich Albion. I think they'll stay up. I don't think they'll have any problems with that, but I just feel whether they can really make a push up into that top half of the Premiership. Looking at their squad, it doesn't have much quality to it. They've lost Darren Fletcher, who's moved on to Stoke. They have signed Jay Rodriguez, who I think is a very good signing for them. And he'll be up top with Rondon, so we'll give them an alternative to Solomon Rondon. But I don't think they've improved much. I think a lot of the Premier League sides above them have. And I can't see them really and truly, you know, getting on into that top 10. There's 7 sides that will probably go into the league thinking, could we win the league? I think we can. And when you look at those 6 or 7 sides that think they win the league, and then you look at the couple of teams below them, I just don't think West Bromwich Albion have it in them to finish in the midst of the top 10. So yeah, 15th for West Brom. 14th, Bournemouth. Yes, I've gone for Eddie Howe's Bournemouth. Obviously, they've lost Jack Wilshere in the midfield. They have brought back in Nathan Ake, who was a revelation for them before he returned to Chelsea. And of course signed Asmir Begovic, who I think's going to be a top goalkeeper and will probably become their #1 ahead of Artur Boruc. And of course, Jermaine Defoe. They've brought him in from Sunderland. He is obviously a year older though, so can he be expected to start as many games, although he keeps himself in top shape. But I'm sure he will add more goals to that Bournemouth side. I don't think they'll be threatened with relegation at all. But pretty much the same with West Bromwich Albion. I don't think they've got enough to really push on into that top 10. So I'd go for Bournemouth to be safe, but not do much else. Now this might surprise a few people, as I've seen quite a lot of people suggest Swansea would go down. They've managed to keep a hold of Gylfi Sigurdsson. Now if they can do that for the rest of the transfer window, I think this will stand obviously a little bit better, this prediction. But when I was going through the table and I was picking 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, all the positions below where I put Swansea, I couldn't see Swansea finishing below those sides. I think Clement's done a great job there. Obviously when I look at their team, I don't see much about it, which makes me think, what have I done with this prediction? Is this prediction, are they going to be a little bit lower? So I'm doubting this prediction a little bit. Obviously they got Llorente, they got Fer, they got some decent players in their side. If they can keep Sigurdsson, they'll be even better. I think Clement, fantastic, done well for them last season. But I've put them in at 13th and I'm starting to doubt myself. Now look, nobody ever gets 20 out of 20 right, so that may be the one I get wrong. But Swansea in at 13th. In at number 12, I've gone for last season's EFL Cup finalists, Southampton. So I've got Southampton in there. Now, I like Southampton. I think they do things properly in terms of their youth setup, obviously promoting players through to the team. And even when they keep changing their managers, they still continue to do well, which is a little bit surprising. But I think it's testament to the whole setup there at Southampton. Now, I don't think they'll get relegated this season, which is obviously reflected in my prediction of 12th for Southampton, but I don't think they'll push on and make many improvements from last season. Now I'm interested to see how Gabbiadini fares this season after having a great start to his life in England, and I think he could be a top player for them if he can hit the ground running again. But could he be like a Michu or something who never really returns to that form? That remains to be seen, but Gabbiadini is a fantastic player and I'd like to see him do well. And then you've got the English talents, the likes of Bertrand, Redmond, Ward-Prowse, etc., who give them a spine to their team. And obviously, if they can keep a hold of Virgil van Dijk, who seemed to go on strike and all that bullshit, trying to force a move through to Liverpool, then they will be even stronger. But that may prove to be difficult. I've gone for them to be in 12th, safe, comfortably. But again, don't think they'll get into that top 10. Now, in at number 11, I've gone for Crystal Palace. I have gone for Crystal Palace. Interested to see how Frank de Boer does. I think he needs time. And I think it'll take a while for him to settle in. And I may be swayed a little bit by the fact that Timothy Fosu-Mensah now plays for Crystal Palace. But I think they've got a fantastic team. Benteke, Zaha, Jason Puncheon. You look a little bit further back, they've got the likes of Johan Capai. Then they've got Timothy Fosu-Mensah. And they've got some decent defenders as well. Solid team. And I think under Frank de Boer, if they click, I think they could do very, very well. Now, I'm going to call them Timothy Fosu-Mensah FC, but I'll put Crystal Palace in at number 11. Right then, now we get into the interesting stuff. 10 and above. Who will be, you know, comfortable? Who will overachieve? Who will get into those European spots? Who will take home the title? This is where we find all that out. First up, in number 10, I've got Stoke City. Mark Hughes' Stoke City. Couple of shrewd signings. I think Darren Fletcher is a fantastic signing for them. And I think Kurt Zouma on loan from Chelsea is another very good signing for them as well. I think they brought Saido Berahino in January. And I think you'll get to see the best of him. And him really come to the forefront as a Stoke City player this season. Now obviously Stoke are Stoke. At home, they're difficult to beat. Away from home, they can shock sides. But they don't usually get many results. So we'll see, but I think they're going to finish 10th. And that would be a great season for Stoke, wouldn't it? Number 9, West Ham. I think they'll finish 9th this season. Slaven Bilic is a decent coach. I know he found it difficult last season. The whole Dimitri Payet saga didn't help things. But I think his summer signings have been very, very shrewd. Now look, I know I didn't want Joe Hart or Chicharito anywhere near Manchester United. But West Ham aren't Man United. They aren't fighting in the Champions League. They aren't doing anything like that. They're trying to get into that top 10. They're trying to get on the verge of Europa League football. And I think those kind of signings, Hart, Chicharito, can help them do that. Obviously, Coutinho potentially going to Barcelona. Could see Lanzini go to Liverpool. And I'm a huge fan of Lanzini. And I think if they can keep a hold of him, the signing of Arnautovic as well isn't too bad. And I think West Ham are going in the right direction under Bilic. Obviously, West Ham are West Ham. They've had many false dawns. And I don't think they'll quite get anywhere near the Europa League spot. But I think they'll finish 9th. Which isn't a bad season for Slaven Bilic. In 9th, I've gone for the 2015-16 champions, Leicester City. Now last season, obviously, they had Ranieri. Looks like they were going to get relegated. They sacked him, whether that was right or wrong. Shakespeare comes in. And I think Shakespeare's done fantastically well for them. He's got them playing back to basics again. Back to the good things of Leicester City. In terms of signing, they brought in Manchester City's Iheanacho, who was definitely better than Marcus Rashford, but somehow he's ended up leaving Manchester City. But nevertheless, it's a very good signing for Leicester City. Obviously, they've brought in... Who else did they bring in as well? Have they brought anyone else in? They also brought in Hull's Harry Maguire as well to strengthen their defensive line. Now, with Leicester City, I don't think the signings have been out of this world, although I think Iheanacho will get them some goals. But I think the ability to hold on to Kasper Schmeichel and Riyad Mahrez, although I could be speaking too soon for them with some of the windows still to go. And Shakespeare seemingly getting Leicester City going again. Now, I know caretaker managers that become full-time managers in their second seasons or in their first full seasons, they flatter to the, you know, they don't perform. But could they finish 9th? I think they might. I can't see them finishing in the bottom 10 with some of the teams that are in this Premier League, but stranger things have happened. I mean, they won the league once. Now we come to the juicy part of the table. The positions that are often debated, often argued, and these are the decisions that are going to make everybody start fuming. Now I know if you're one of the relegated sides, you might do that, but look, you know, I'm within my rights to predict those guys get relegated. I mean, 2 of them just got promoted, so it's very likely. But these are the positions that are going to give me headache. These are the positions that could see me clipped up by the end of the season. So they're crucial. Number 7, Everton. They've had a very, very good summer, to be fair to them. Jordan Pickford, Wayne Rooney, Sandro. They've had some very good signings. Klaassen. And they look like they're moving in the right direction. Recent signings of obviously Morgan Schneiderlin, who came in. Obviously, I forgot to mention Michael Keane as well, who's a great signing for them. But I think if Sandro is a hit, I think Everton could really push 6th, 5th. But I think if he's not, where else are the goals going to come from? Because I don't think Wayne Rooney replaces the goals that they've lost in Romelu Lukaku. I don't think he'll get anywhere near that. Maybe half, if he's lucky. Because obviously we've seen Wayne Rooney over the last 3 years. I think it's a great signing for Everton and that level. And he will bring in their experience, the leadership. And he will get them some goals and an assist. But is he going to replace the output of somebody like Romelu Lukaku in goals? And I don't think he will. So it depends on Sandro. If Sandro's a hit, I could see them finishing above Liverpool this season. Because Jordan Pickford, Michael Keane, Klaassen, very, very good signings. Liverpool potentially losing Coutinho. But I think 7th will be Everton. So 6th, I've gone for their Merseyside neighbours, Liverpool. I was very, very close to putting Arsenal in here. But I think the potential loss of Coutinho to Liverpool is bigger to Liverpool than the potential loss of Sanchez to Arsenal. Now, I know Arsenal have more in terms of goals from Sanchez than Liverpool do from Coutinho. But Coutinho makes Liverpool tick. And I think Sanchez, Arsenal have obviously brought in Lacazette, they've got Giroud, they've got goals from elsewhere. Liverpool haven't had a great summer. Daniel Sturridge scored a great goal against Bayern Munich, got injured. Kind of typifies the way his career's gone. Robert Firmino, he'll get them goals. But if Coutinho goes, I can't see Liverpool. And with the addition of Champions League football into the mix as well, potentially Europa League if they don't make it through their group stage, I think Liverpool are going to find it difficult this season. I don't think their squad's great. I think the pending loss of Coutinho will be catastrophic to them. Can they replace him? Is there a player out there? I think they could. If you're talking 90, 100 million for Coutinho, I think Liverpool could easily buy someone with that money for who is good enough to replace Coutinho. But can they attract them to the club when they're selling their big players like Coutinho? Champions League football is there, obviously. Jurgen Klopp is there. He obviously gives them something else as well. But I don't think they'll repeat their feat of finishing in the top 4. I think they were very lucky to not have European football last season. And I think that could take a big effect on them this season. In at number 5, I've gone for Arsenal. Yes, Europa League football coming to Arsenal is going to ruin them. They're already bad with injuries. If they play close to first strength teams in the Europa League, which you'd think they might do because they're going to want to win it, right? It's a big trophy for them. But nevertheless, Arsene Wenger likes to give younger players chances, so he could use it to field young players. But I think the Europa League could have a detrimental effect to Arsenal's league campaign, like we saw it has with Manchester United over the last couple of years. And I think the pending departure of Sanchez, which looks likely, could see them again just miss out on goals. I think Lacazette's a good signing, but I don't think he would replace the goals they'd miss from Sanchez. So I think if Lacazette is signed in addition to Sanchez and they play their young players in the Europa League, that could see them get back into the top 4 because Spurs haven't done much in this window. But I think Europa League football, the loss of Sanchez, I think that would be too much for Arsenal. And I think it could see them miss out on Champions League football again, which would be great to watch, wouldn't it? Be very entertaining. Now, the big one. We are the champ. It's the Champions League. You get it, right? Champions League spots. Who's getting 4th? I'm going for Spurs. I think they're going to drop in the league this season. I think it will be Spurs in 4th. I don't think they've had a great summer. Lost Walker. Could lose Rose, although he seems to have apologised very swiftly. Why do people get involved with the Sun and then end up apologising? Why do it to yourself? Even though I think he's right in this point. Spurs players are incredibly underpaid compared to their Premier League rivals. And of course, I think Spurs, they are eventually going to lose more of their big names, because I don't think they will bring trophies in. Of course, they could get a cup, very possible. They could win an FA Cup or a League Cup. But I think the move to Wembley isn't going to help them. I think their failure to win trophies will eventually see the likes of Kane, Ali, Eriksson, Vertonghen, Alderweireld, Lloris move on. But I don't think it will be this summer. So I think Spurs will be okay in terms of finishing in the top 4 still. But I don't think they've really done enough to have improved on last season and go for the title as they would want to. And I think with the improvements in Manchester, City and United, and I think Chelsea will see them finish 4th. I'm laughing because these are the positions that are going to get me slaughtered. I didn't want to do this video! Ah, God. I hate predicting things. Every position on this video is going to be wrong. We know that, right? In 3rd, I've gone for Chelsea. The current Premier League champions. Antonio Conte's men. Obviously, last season they didn't have European football, so the addition of European football to Chelsea will affect them. They've made a few good signings. Rudiger, Alvaro Morata. But I think the loss of Costa is a big one for them. I think Alvaro Morata is a fantastic signing, and I think eventually he will replace Costa. But I think immediately he will not replace Costa's goals. And I think that could see them drop in the table. The addition of Champions League football to their schedule, one eye on Champions League football, and the squad the way it is, with them having lost Costa. I know John Terry wasn't a big player for them anymore. They've lost John Terry. They've let Zuma go out on loan. They have signed a few players, but I don't think it's enough. I don't think Chelsea have done enough improvements. I think Antonio Conte probably thinks that as well. Now, this is August, early August, so you know, these things could change. Chelsea could make 2 world-class signings and I could think they're favourites for it now. But I've got them in 3rd. Right then, I've got to the top 2 and I still haven't mentioned Manchester United or Manchester City. And let's just talk about these 2 clubs first. Manchester United have brought in Nemanja Matic, who's a very, very shrewd signing for us, I think. People moan about the price, but I think that's pointless. And I think him as a signing has already shown that he can be fantastic for United, and hopefully he continues to settle and provide that balance to our midfield. But I think Nemanja Matic could be potentially the signing of the season. Romelu Lukaku, guaranteed goals in the Premier League. Obviously we've lost Zlatan. He's going to come back probably in 6 months, but I think Lukaku is an immediate improvement on Zlatan in terms of goals. We just have to hope Martial, Mickey, Mata and Rashford can continue to deliver goals. And if they can do that, then United will go close to winning the league. As for Manchester City, they've brought in Kyle Walker, which I think is a great signing for them considering the way they want to use fullbacks. Pep Guardiola has been crying out for good fullbacks. Kyle Walker is definitely a good fullback. He's one of, if not the best right back in the league. So I think Kyle Walker's a great signing for them. Gabriel Jesus, you'll get to see more of him this season, and I think he'll score more and more goals as well. You've got Kevin De Bruyne in there. They've brought in Bernardo Silva. Benjamin Mendy's been brought in as well. They've had a very, very good summer. But will they have a big enough summer to improve on and win the league? Will United have a big enough summer to improve on and win the league? You look at Jose Mourinho's record in his 2nd season. He's won the league in his 2nd season at every single club. He wanted 4 signings this window. He got 3 of them. Still lacking 1, could still make that signing. But I think Jose Mourinho's experience in the Premier League, Jose Mourinho's signings this summer, and I think the mere fact that it has been so long means I've gone for Manchester United as 2017-18 Premier League champions. Now look, I could have put a 2nd or 3rd, but you guys know me. I'm biased as fuck. I'm not going to do that. And I think United's target, as you've seen in my Manchester United season preview, has to be 1st or 3rd. If we finish 2nd or 3rd and we've battled for the title, I think it's been a successful Premier League campaign. But we've not won the league for so long. Jose Mourinho knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. And I get the feeling this summer, maybe the same kind of feeling Chelsea fans had in his 2nd spell, just ahead of his 2nd season, when he brought in Matic and he brought in Costa. And he made Chelsea, he made those signings that made Chelsea better in areas they had to improve on, but also just gave them the edge to go on. We weren't far off winning the league last season. We needed goals at home. If we had a goal scorer like Lukaku last season, a flat track bully like people call him, we would have won the league. I know some of you guys are going to be like, oh Adam, you're so biased. Wow, that's just me, innit? Anyway, on to the fun stuff. The fantasy Premier League stuff. The stuff that you guys want to hear about. We did a league last season. I sent the prize out to the winner. I think it was a signed Dwight York image or something like that. I found something for him. This season, the prize is going to be bigger and better. I'll think about it, but I'm going to think of a bigger and better prize. So keep your eyes peeled for that. But make sure you enter the league. The code is on the screen right now. And this is my team for the league. So obviously this could change. This is the 11 that I've got so far. Hugo Lloris, David Luiz, Timothy Fosu-Mensah and Ashley Williams. Don't know if I'm being a bit biased with that Fosu-Mensah selection, but he's in my back three anyway. Then I've got a midfield four of Pogba, Ali, Mane and David Silva, with a front three of Chicharito, Defoe and Romelu Lukaku. So there you have it, guys. That is my 11 for the Fantasy Premier League. Get your teams in the comments below. Get your predictions for the Premier League campaign in the comments below as well. Have I got way too excited? What do you think about my Fantasy Premier League team? What do you think about my opinions on all 20 Premier League sides? Have I been a little bit off in some? Remember, I will have regular Premier League content throughout the season, so it's not just going to be Manchester United stuff here in Adam McKola TV. We are stepping it up. There's going to be Premier League content added on here, and I'll do regular updates on the Fantasy Premier League stuff. Last season, after about October, I gave up on it. That's not happening this year. I promise. Anyway, make sure you hit that subscribe button, like, comment and share. I've been Adam McKola. These have been my Premier League predictions. Get yours in the comments below. I'm out of here.